When a waiter at one of Los Angeles's fanciest restaurants saw a man walk in wearing old motorcycle boots and a wet jacket, he made a terrible mistake. "You can't afford to eat here," the waiter said loudly. "Maybe try the diner down the street." The quiet man just stood there. He didn't argue. He didn't yell. He simply reached into his jacket pocket. But what this waiter didn't know would shock everyone in that restaurant. What he didn't know was caught on camera. And what happened next changed his life forever. Because that man in the simple clothes, that was Keanu Reeves. And he didn't just own a share of the building. He was the reason that restaurant existed at all. This is the true story of one insult, one act of grace, and a 30-year secret that nobody knew. A secret about 17 buildings, millions of dollars in silent donations, and countless lives changed by one man who chose kindness over revenge. Stay with me until the end, because the real reveal, the one that went viral around the world, is something you won't believe. This is the story of the waiter who insulted Keanu Reeves and learned the most important lesson of his life. The rain fell hard on downtown Los Angeles that Tuesday evening, March 14, 2023. Water poured down the tall buildings on South Olive Street. Cars splashed through puddles. People ran under umbrellas, trying to stay dry. Inside Cicada Restaurant, everything glowed warm and golden, and chandeliers hung from the high ceiling. White tablecloths covered every table. Soft music played. Rich people sat eating expensive food. They wore fancy suits and beautiful dresses. Each meal cost over $200. The restaurant sat inside an old building from 1928. The walls were decorated with art. Everything looked perfect and elegant. A young waiter named Brandon Wells stood near the front door. He was 26 years old. He had only worked at Cicada for 3 weeks. His black uniform was perfectly pressed. His hair was combed neat. He wanted to do everything right. He wanted his bosses to notice him. Brandon watched the front door carefully. He checked every person who walked in. Were they dressed nice enough? Did they look rich enough? He wanted to protect this fancy restaurant. At exactly 7:47 p.m., the door opened. A man walked in from the rain. He was about 58 years old. He had dark hair with some gray in it. Water dripped from his hair onto his shoulders. He wore a simple black jacket, regular blue jeans, motorcycle boots that were old and worn. The boots had scratches on them. His clothes were wet from the rain. The man looked tired, but his eyes were kind. He walked quietly, like he didn't want to bother anyone. Brandon's eyes went wide. This man looked too casual, too poor. This was wrong. Brandon walked quickly toward the man. Other diners turned to look. They saw the confrontation starting. "Excuse me, sir," Brandon said loudly. His voice carried across the restaurant. "This is a luxury establishment." The man stopped. He looked at Brandon calmly. "We have a dress code here," Brandon continued. His voice grew stronger. He felt important. "Those boots and that jacket. I don't think you can afford to eat here." The man didn't argue. He just stood there. A small, sad smile appeared on his face. The smile didn't reach his eyes. Brandon felt more confident now. He was doing his job. He was protecting the restaurant's standards. "Maybe try the diner down the street," Brandon said. He pointed toward the door. "That's more your level." A security camera on the wall recorded everything. The red light blinked. Several diners pulled out their phones. They started recording video. Something felt important about this moment. They could sense it. The quiet man reached slowly into his jacket pocket. Brandon crossed his arms. He waited, and he expected the man to pull out an empty wallet. Or maybe complain. Maybe argue. But the man's hand stayed in his pocket for a long moment. Other waiters noticed what was happening. An older waitress named Maria Rodriguez stopped clearing a table. She squinted at the man in the wet jacket. Her face suddenly went pale. She recognized something. She started walking toward them quickly. But Brandon didn't notice Maria. He was too focused on the wet stranger. "Well?" Brandon said impatiently. "Are you going to leave, or do I need to call security?" The man's hand remained in his pocket. The whole restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Rain continued to pound against the windows outside. Inside, the warm golden light made everything look like a stage. And on that stage, something important was about to happen. Something that would change Brandon's life forever. The camera kept recording. But before we see what happens next, we need to understand who this quiet man really is. We need to know his story, because his story explains everything. His name is Keanu Charles Reeves. He was born on September 2nd, 1964, in Beirut, Lebanon. That's a city very far from Los Angeles. His mother was English. His father was from Hawaii. Keanu's childhood was not easy. It was actually very hard. When Keanu was only 3 years old, his father left. Just disappeared. Gone. Little Keanu never saw him again. His mother, Patricia, had to raise him alone. They moved all the time. On first Lebanon, then Australia, then New York, then finally Toronto, Canada. Keanu never stayed in one place long enough to feel at home. He never had a stable life. School was especially difficult for young Keanu. He had dyslexia. That means his brain saw letters and words differently. Reading was hard. Writing was hard. Tests were terrible. Other kids could read easily. Keanu struggled with every word. He changed schools 4 times in 5 years. 4 different schools. 4 times starting over. 4 times being the new kid. 4 times having no friends. His mother worked 3 jobs sometimes. She worked as a costume designer. She worked late nights. She worked weekends. She did everything to keep food on the table. Little Keanu was alone a lot. But Keanu never gave up. He found something he loved. Acting. When he acted, the words didn't matter as much. He could be someone else. He could express feelings without struggling with reading. Acting saved him. See, in 1986, when Keanu was 22, he got his first small movie roles. Nobody knew his name. He was just another struggling actor. He worked at a pasta restaurant to pay rent. He slept in his car sometimes when he couldn't afford rent. Then came Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in 1989. Keanu played a silly teenager who traveled through time. People loved it. They started knowing his name. In 1991, he made Point Break. He played a surfer who was secretly an FBI agent. And the movie was exciting. More people noticed Keanu. In 1994, Speed came out. Keanu played a cop who had to save people on a bus that couldn't slow down. The movie made millions of dollars. Keanu was becoming a star. But real fame came in 1999. The Matrix changed everything. Keanu played Neo, a computer programmer who discovers the world isn't real. The movie was incredible. It made $467 million around the world. Everyone knew Keanu Reeves now. He was a superstar. And he earned millions and millions of dollars. But money didn't change who Keanu was inside. Actually, tragedy followed Keanu like a dark shadow. Terrible things kept happening to him. In 1998, his girlfriend Jennifer Syme got pregnant. They were so happy. They picked out a name for their baby girl, Ava. They painted a nursery. They bought baby clothes. They dreamed about being parents. But on Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1999, baby Ava was born dead. She never took a single breath, and she never opened her eyes. The grief destroyed Keanu and Jennifer. Their relationship couldn't survive such terrible sadness. They broke up. Then, in April 2001, Jennifer died in a car accident. She crashed her car. She was only 28 years old. Keanu lost his daughter. Then he lost the woman he loved. All within 2 years. He almost quit acting. The pain was too much. His sister Kim got sick too. She had leukemia. That's a cancer of the blood. It's very serious. She battled it for 10 long years. Keanu spent millions of dollars on her treatment. He paid for the best doctors, the best hospitals. He took time off from making movies to take care of her. He sat with her during chemotherapy. He held her hand when she was scared. Kim survived. She beat the cancer. But those 10 years changed Keanu forever. He understood that money means nothing if you can't help the people you love. The world started noticing something about Keanu. He was different from other rich actors. In 1997, he gave away $80 million of his Matrix earnings. $80 million. He gave it to the special effects team and the costume designers. He said they made the movie great. They deserved the money more than him. Other actors thought he was crazy. Who gives away $80 million? Keanu did. In 2003, he made another movie called The Replacements. He took a huge pay cut. Yet he accepted less money so the movie could afford to hire Gene Hackman and Al Pacino. He wanted to work with them. Money wasn't important. People started seeing Keanu around Los Angeles doing normal things. He rode the subway. He gave his seat to elderly people and pregnant women. He ate lunch alone on park benches, reading books. He talked to homeless people like they were friends. He donated millions to children's hospitals. He created a private cancer foundation because of his sister. But he never told anyone his name was connected to it. He gave anonymously. Keanu never married. He never had children. He lived simply in a regular house in Los Angeles. Not a mansion, just a house. In 2011, he started a motorcycle company called Arch Motorcycle. He loved motorcycles. He built them with his own hands. He didn't do it for money. He did it because he loved it. He loved books. He loved philosophy. He loved quiet moments alone. But there was something else. Something the world didn't know yet. Something about buildings he owned in Los Angeles. Something about investments he made. Something about a struggling immigrant he once helped 30 years ago. Something about Cicada Restaurant and why it existed at all. Back in the restaurant, Keanu's hand was still in his jacket pocket. Brandon stood with his arms crossed. He was waiting for this poor man to leave. Maria, the older waitress, was walking faster now. She needed to stop this, and she needed to stop Brandon before it was too late. But would she reach them in time? To understand what's happening right now, we need to go back further. Much further. We need to go back 30 years. Back to where this whole story really begins. December 1993. Cicada Restaurant doesn't exist yet. The beautiful building at 617 South Olive Street stands empty, abandoned, forgotten. It's a gorgeous building from 1928, Italian Renaissance style. High ceilings, marble floors, beautiful architecture. It used to be a fancy department store back in the 1930s and 1940s. Rich people shopped there. They bought expensive clothes and jewelry. But now it's covered in graffiti. The windows are broken. Homeless people sleep in the doorways. Nobody wants it. The building is dying. A man stands outside on the cold December morning. His name is Marco Santelli. He's 45 years old. He came to America from Italy 15 years ago with nothing. Not a single dollar. Marco has black hair turning gray, deep lines around his eyes, hands rough from hard work. He wears an old coat that's too thin for the cold weather. He stares up at the empty building. His eyes fill with tears. Marco has a dream. He wants to open a restaurant. A real Italian restaurant. The kind his grandmother had back in Italy. The kind where families gather. Where food is made with love. Where everyone feels welcome. He's been washing dishes for 15 years. 15 years of hot water burning his hands. 15 years of scrubbing pots until midnight. 15 years of saving every penny. He has $30,000 saved. It's hidden in a box under his bed. $30,000 from 15 years of backbreaking work. But this building costs $2 million. $2 million. Marco went to every bank in Los Angeles. He asked for a loan. Every single bank said no. You have no collateral, they said. You have no American credit history, they said. You're just a dishwasher, they said. That last one hurt the most. Just a dishwasher. Like his dreams didn't matter. Like his hard work meant nothing. Marco sits down on the stone steps outside the building. He puts his head in his hands. He starts to cry. Big, heavy tears fall onto the cold steps. He's going to lose his dream. After 15 years of sacrifice, it's all for nothing. He doesn't hear the footsteps approaching. A young man sits down on the steps beside him. Marco doesn't look up. He's too embarrassed to show his tears to a stranger. "Why are you crying?" a gentle voice asks. Marco wipes his eyes. He looks over. The young man is maybe 29 years old, long dark hair, kind eyes, simple clothes. He's sitting there like they're old friends. "It's nothing," Marco says in his thick Italian accent. "Just dreams that cannot come true." "Tell me," the young man says. I have time." Marco doesn't know why, but something about this stranger makes him feel safe. So Marco talks. He tells him everything. He tells him about Italy, about his grandmother's restaurant, about coming to America with hope in his heart, about washing dishes for 15 years, about the $30,000 hidden under his bed, about this beautiful building he loves, about the banks saying no, about the impossible $2 million he needs. The young man listens, and he doesn't interrupt. He doesn't check his phone. He doesn't look bored. He just listens like Marco's story matters. When Marco finishes, the young man is quiet for a moment. Then he asks, "How much do you really need?" Marco laughs. It's a bitter, sad laugh. $2 million. I might as well say 2 billion. It's impossible either way. The young man stands up. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a pen and a small piece of paper. "Write down your phone number," he says. But Marco thinks this is a joke. Or maybe the young man is crazy. But something in the man's eyes seems serious. So Marco writes his phone number on the paper with shaking hands. The young man takes the paper. He looks at Marco seriously. "What's your name?" "Marco Santelli." "I'm Keanu," the young man says. He shakes Marco's hand. "Keanu Reeves." Marco doesn't recognize the name. He doesn't watch many movies. He works too much. "Nice to meet you, Keanu," Marco says. He assumes this is goodbye. So just a kind stranger who listened to his sad story. Keanu starts to walk away. Then he stops and turns back. "Marco," he says, "don't give up yet, okay?" Marco nods, confused. Keanu walks away down the street. Marco watches him go. Then Marco looks back up at the building. His impossible dream. 3 days pass. Marco continues washing dishes at the restaurant where he works. He scrubs pots. He cleans plates. He tries not to think about the building, about his broken dream. On the third day, on December 18, 1993, Marco's phone rings. "Is this Marco Santelli?" a professional voice asks. "Yes, this is Marco." "My name is Robert Chen. I'm a lawyer. I represent Keanu Reeves. He asked me to call you about a building on South Olive Street." Marco's heart stops. He remembers the young man on the steps. "Mr. Reeves would like to invest in your restaurant," the lawyer continues. "He's prepared to offer $1.5 million. Marco drops the phone. His hands are shaking so hard he can barely pick it back up. "Hello? Mr. Santelli? Are you there?" "Yes," Marco whispers. "Yes, I'm here. Is this real?" "Very real," the lawyer says. "Mr. Reeves has some conditions. He wants to own 60% of the building. You'll own the restaurant business. You keep all profits above operational costs and a small dividend payment to Mr. Reeves each year. You'll run everything, make all decisions. It's your restaurant." Marco starts crying again. But these are different tears. Happy tears. "There's one more condition," the lawyer says. "The most important one. Mr. Reeves's name must stay completely secret. Forever. No one can know he's involved. Not the press, not your family, no one. Can you agree to that?" "Yes," Marco says immediately. "Yes, I agree. But why? Why is he doing this?" "He believes in you," the lawyer says simply. "See, he believes everyone deserves a chance." The paperwork takes 2 months. On February 14, 1994, Valentine's Day, Marco signs the papers. The building is his. Well, theirs, his and Keanu's. Marco spends every day working on the building. He cleans it, repairs it, makes it beautiful again. Keanu comes by sometimes to help. He paints walls, he sweeps floors, he carries lumber. They become friends, real friends. Cicada Restaurant opens on May 20th, 1994. The opening night is magical. People love it, and the food is incredible. The atmosphere is perfect. The service is warm and welcoming. Movie stars start coming. Business deals happen there. Weddings are held in the beautiful ballroom. Marco succeeds beyond his wildest dreams. Years pass. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Marco makes millions from the restaurant. He pays Keanu back every penny of the original investment, plus interest. But Keanu refuses to sell his ownership share. "Keep it," Keanu says. "This is your place. You earned it. And I'm just happy I could help." Only 3 people know the truth: Marco, Keanu, and the lawyer Robert Chen. For 29 years, the secret holds. Marco trains every new employee personally. He teaches them the restaurant's values. Treat everyone with respect. Everyone. The person in the expensive suit and the person in simple jeans. Both deserve dignity. But 3 weeks ago, something happened. Marco had a stroke. He collapsed while preparing for dinner service. Now, the ambulance took him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The doctors said he needed rest. Lots of rest. Marco couldn't train the new staff. An assistant manager who'd only been there 6 months did the hiring. He hired Brandon Wells. Brandon never met Marco. He never learned the real values. He only learned the surface things, the dress code, the prices, the fancy appearance. He never learned what really mattered. And tonight, December 14th, 2023, exactly 30 years after Keanu sat on those steps with Marco, Brandon is making the biggest mistake of his life. He's insulting the man who made Cicada Restaurant possible. The man who owns the building they're all standing in. But Brandon doesn't know this. How could he? Keanu finally pulls his hand from his jacket pocket. He's holding his phone. Just a simple black phone. Nothing fancy. Nothing expensive looking. "May I speak to the manager?" Keanu asks quietly. His voice is calm, peaceful, like he's asking for a glass of water. Brandon laughs. It's a mean laugh, a mocking laugh. "The manager? You want to complain about me?" Brandon's voice gets louder. "For protecting our establishment's standards?" Every word drips with sarcasm. Other waiters stop what they're doing. They turn to watch. Something big is happening. Maria Rodriguez, the older waitress, is still walking toward them. She's worked at Cicada for 18 years. She knows Keanu. She's seen him come here dozens of times over the years. Always quiet, always kind, always humble. Her face is pale white. She knows this is bad. Really bad. "Brandon!" Maria calls out. She's almost running now. "Brandon, wait!" But Brandon holds up his hand. He stops her. "I've got this, Maria. Go back to your tables." Maria reaches them anyway. She's breathing hard. "Brandon, you don't understand who—" "I understand perfectly." Brandon interrupts. His voice is sharp, confident, and he thinks he's in control. "This is a man who can't afford to eat here, and I'm doing my job." Brandon turns back to Keanu. He stands up taller. He wants to look important. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, now." He pauses. "Or I'll call security." Keanu just stands there, still calm, still peaceful. "I'd like to speak to the manager," he repeats. Same quiet voice. "The manager is busy," Brandon lies. "The manager is actually in the back office doing paperwork." And even if he wasn't, he'd say the same thing I'm saying. Brandon crosses his arms. "You don't belong here." More diners are recording now. Phone cameras point at Keanu and Brandon. 10 phones, 15 phones, maybe 20. Some of the diners recognize Keanu. They whisper to each other. "Is that Keanu Reeves?" "It can't be." "Oh my God, I think it is." Someone should help him. But nobody moves. They just watch. They just record. Brandon doesn't hear the whispers. Or maybe he hears them but doesn't believe them. He's too focused on proving his point, on showing everyone he's tough, that he enforces the rules. A woman at a nearby table stands up. She's wearing an elegant blue dress, diamond earrings. She looks wealthy, important. "Young man," she says to Brandon. Her voice is firm. "Do you know who you're talking to?" Brandon turns to face her. A man who's trespassing in a luxury restaurant. The woman's mouth drops open. She can't believe what she's hearing. "That's Keanu Reeves, the actor." Brandon's face shows confusion for just a second. Then dismissal. He shakes his head. "I don't care if he's the President of the United States. Rules are rules." He points at Keanu's boots. No proper attire, no service. The woman sits back down, shaking her head in disbelief. Maria tries again. She puts her hand on Brandon's arm. "Brandon, please, stop. You're making a terrible mistake." Brandon pulls his arm away. Now he's getting angry. People are contradicting him. Making him look bad. His pride is hurt. So he does what proud people do. He doubles down. He makes it worse. "A mistake?" Brandon's voice rises even higher. "My mistake would be letting someone dressed like that eat here." He gestures at Keanu's wet jacket and worn boots. "This is Cicada, not a truck stop." The words hang in the air. The entire restaurant goes quiet. Completely quiet. Even the soft music seems to stop. The kitchen sounds fade away. Everything is silent. People stop eating. Stop drinking. Stop talking. They just stare. Keanu stands there, absorbing the insults. His face shows no anger, no rage, only sadness. Deep, deep sadness. His eyes look tired, like he's heard this before, like he's been judged like this his whole life, like it never stops hurting, no matter how many times it happens. "I'll leave," Keanu says finally. His voice is barely a whisper. "I don't want to cause trouble." Brandon smiles. He thinks he's won. Good decision. He actually smiles, but proud of himself. Maria's face turns red with anger now, not at Keanu, at Brandon. "No," Maria says. Her voice is hard as steel. "Brandon, go to the back office. Now." "I'm not," Brandon starts. "Now!" Maria's voice cuts through the restaurant like a knife. Several diners jump at the sound. They've never heard sweet, kind Maria yell before. Brandon's smile disappears. He looks confused. Why is Maria so upset? He was just doing his job. Wasn't he? "Maria, I don't understand," he begins. But Maria isn't looking at him anymore. She's looking at the front door. Everyone turns to look. The door is opening. An older man enters. He's leaning heavily on a wooden cane. Each step looks painful. He's about 75 years old. Gray hair, deep wrinkles. He wears a nice suit, but it hangs loose on his thin frame. It's Marco Santelli. He was supposed to be in the hospital. He's supposed to be resting. But someone called him, told him there was a problem, a serious problem. And so Marco left his hospital bed. He got dressed. He drove himself here against doctor's orders, because Cicada is his life, and Keanu is his brother. Not by blood, but by something stronger. Marco's eyes scan the restaurant. They find Keanu standing by the door, still wet from the rain. Then they find Brandon, standing there with his arms crossed. Marco's face changes. First confusion, then understanding. Then absolute fury. Every employee in the restaurant freezes, and they've never seen Marco angry, not once in 29 years. Marco is always smiling, always kind, always patient, but not tonight. Marco walks slowly across the marble floor. His cane clicks with each step. Click, click, click. The sound echoes in the silent restaurant. Every click is like a countdown. Click. Brandon's confidence starts to crack. Click. Brandon's smile disappears completely. Click. Brandon realizes something is very, very wrong. Marco reaches them. He doesn't look at Brandon yet. First, he looks at Keanu. "Keanu," Marco says. His Italian accent is thick with emotion. Tears fill his eyes. Then Marco does something that shocks everyone. He drops his cane. It clatters on the floor. And Marco embraces Keanu, hugs him tight, like a father hugging his son. "Mi dispiace," Marco whispers. Those are Italian words. They mean, "I'm sorry. I am so sorry." Brandon stands there, frozen. His face is white as paper. What's happening? Why is the owner hugging this poor-looking man? Marco holds Keanu for a long moment. Then he slowly lets go. He picks up his cane. His hands are shaking. Marco turns to face Brandon. His eyes are like fire. "You." Marco's voice is low, dangerous. "What is your name?" Brandon's mouth is dry. He can barely speak. "Brandon Wells, sir. I was just..." "You were just what?" Marco's voice shakes with controlled anger. Every word is careful, precise. "See, you were just insulting the man who owns this building?" He pauses. "The man who made this restaurant possible?" Brandon's face goes completely white. All the blood drains away. "What?" The word comes out as a whisper. Maria steps forward. Her voice is gentle now. She wants to explain. to help Brandon understand what he's done. Mr. Reeves has owned 60% of this building since 1993, Maria says. Marco owns the restaurant business. But without Mr. Reeves's investment 30 years ago, none of this would exist. She gestures around at the beautiful restaurant. None of it! The diners gasp. Phones continue recording. This is bigger than anyone thought. Brandon stammers. His confidence is completely gone. But how was I supposed to know? He looks like. He's dressed like? Like what? Marco demands. His voice grows louder. Like a normal person? Like someone humble? And like someone who doesn't need to prove his worth with expensive clothes? Marco takes a step closer to Brandon. He's shorter than Brandon. Older. Weaker. But right now, Marco seems 10 feet tall. That is exactly what Mr. Reeves is, Marco says. His voice fills the entire restaurant. That is why he deserves respect. Keanu touches Marco's arm gently. It's okay. Really. He didn't know. It's not okay, Marco insists. He turns to look at Keanu. You taught me something 30 years ago, Keanu. And you taught me that everyone deserves dignity. His eyes fill with tears again. Remember? When you sat with me on those steps outside this building? You didn't know me. You had no reason to help me. But you saw a human being in pain, and you helped. Marco turns back to the restaurant. He wants everyone to hear this. The whole truth. December 1993. Marco begins. His voice carries to every table. I was a nobody, a dishwasher with a dream I could never afford, and I was sitting outside this empty building crying. This building was abandoned, broken, like my dream. He points at Keanu. This man, he was just walking by. A stranger. He stopped. He sat down next to me. He asked why I was crying. Marco's voice cracks with emotion. I told him about my impossible dream, about wanting to open a restaurant, about the $2 million I didn't have, about the banks that said no. The restaurant is completely silent. Everyone leans forward, listening. 3 days later, Marco continues. His lawyer called me. Mr. Reeves gave me $1.5 million. He lets that sink in. $1.5 million to a stranger, a dishwasher he met on the street. Several diners wiped their eyes. Some are crying now. He made me his partner, Marco says. He asked for nothing except that I run the restaurant with respect and dignity for everyone. Everyone. No matter what they look like, no matter what they wear, and no matter how much money they have. Brandon sinks slowly into a nearby chair. He can't stand anymore. His legs won't hold him. For 30 years, Marco says, Mr. Reeves never asked for publicity, never told anyone. He comes here sometimes, always dressed simply, always kind to everyone. He tips our staff generously. He asks about their families. He remembers their names. Maria steps forward. She wants to speak. He paid for my daughter's college tuition when I couldn't afford it, she says, and her voice shakes. He did it anonymously, through Marco. I only found out years later. Another waiter, a young man named James, speaks up. He bought my son a wheelchair when insurance wouldn't cover it, a special electric one that cost $20,000. I thought it was from a charity. It was him. A chef comes out from the kitchen. His name is Robert. He's worked at Cicada for 12 years. When my mother was dying in Mexico, when I needed to fly there to say goodbye, Mr. Reeves paid for my plane tickets. He gave me 2 weeks paid leave. My family got to be together at the end. I never knew it was him until today. More stories pour out, story after story, like a dam breaking. A busboy? He paid my hospital bills when I had appendicitis and no insurance. A hostess. He bought my sister's medication when she couldn't afford it. A bartender. He paid for my father's funeral. On and on. Person after person. Each one helped by Keanu. Always anonymously. Not always through Marco. Never asking for credit. Never wanting recognition. The diners sit in stunned silence. Many are crying now. Not just a few. Many. This isn't just a story about a rich actor. This is a story about a human being who actually cares, who actually helps, who actually lives his values. Brandon looks up at Keanu. Tears stream down his face. His whole body shakes with sobs. "I'm so sorry," Brandon chokes out. "I'm so sorry. I judged you. I was cruel. I humiliated you. He can't finish. He's crying too hard. The weight of what he's done crushes him. He didn't just insult a customer. He insulted a good man. A man who's spent 30 years helping people. A man who owns this building but never told anyone. A man who deserves respect not because of his wealth, but because of his character. And Brandon treated him like garbage. Marco stands there, still angry. He looks at Brandon with disgust. "You should be fired," Marco says. "You should never work in this restaurant again." Brandon nods. He accepts this. He deserves it. But then, something happens. Keanu walks slowly toward Brandon. Every eye in the restaurant follows him. What will he do? Will he yell? Will he accept Marco's judgment? Will he let Brandon be fired? The cameras capture every second. The phones record every movement. Keanu reaches Brandon's chair. The entire restaurant holds its breath. Keanu sits down slowly in the chair next to Brandon. And he doesn't stand over him. He doesn't tower above him to show power. He sits at Brandon's level. Equal. "Brandon," Keanu says quietly, "look at me." Brandon raises his tear-stained face. His eyes are red and swollen. "You made a mistake," Keanu says. His voice is gentle, kind. "A big one. But you know what? I've made mistakes too. Everyone has. But I was so mean," Brandon whispers. His voice breaks. "I humiliated you in front of everyone." "Yes," Keanu acknowledges. He doesn't sugarcoat it. "Yeah, you did. And that hurt. It really hurt. But do you know what hurt more?" Brandon shakes his head. "The fact that you judged me based on how I look," Keanu says, "on what I was wearing. You decided my worth based on my appearance. You looked at my boots and my jacket, and you thought you knew everything about me." Keanu leans forward. His eyes meet Brandon's directly. "I've been poor, Brandon. Really poor. When I was your age, I was sleeping in my car sometimes, between acting jobs. And I wore whatever clothes I could find at thrift stores. I ate one meal a day because that's all I could afford. I know what it's like to be judged for being poor." Brandon listens, his whole body still shaking. "But I've also been rich," Keanu continues. "Very rich. I've had more money than I could ever spend. And you know what I learned?" He pauses. "Money doesn't change who you are inside. Expensive clothes don't make you a better person. A fancy car doesn't give you more value as a human being." Keanu's voice becomes softer. "I still wear these boots because they're comfortable. I still wear this jacket because it keeps me warm. I still ride my motorcycle because I love it. Not because I'm trying to prove anything, just because that's who I am." Brandon wipes his eyes with his sleeve. "I'm so stupid. I should have known better." "Maybe," Keanu says. "But the question is, what will you do now? Will you learn from this? Or will you just feel sorry for yourself?" Brandon looks up. "I want to learn. I want to be better. I promise. Keanu smiles. It's a small smile, but it's genuine. Real. Good. Then I'm going to give you a second chance. Marco steps forward quickly. Keanu, no. He doesn't deserve... Everyone deserves a second chance, Marco. Keanu interrupts gently. You taught me that, remember? Marco stops. His angry expression softens. Remember, Keanu says again. You told me how people treated you badly when you first came to America. How they judged you for your accent, your broken English. How they made you feel small. How one person gave you a chance, and it changed your entire life. Marco's eyes fill with tears again. He remembers. A restaurant owner in 1978 who hired him when no one else would, who saw past the accent and the fear and gave him a job washing dishes. If that person hadn't given you a chance, Keanu says, you wouldn't be here today. Cicada wouldn't exist. All these people wouldn't have jobs. He gestures around the restaurant. 1 second chance created all of this. Marco nods slowly. His anger melts away. Keanu is right. He's always right about these things. Keanu turns back to Brandon. I'm not going to fire you, but I want you to do something for me. Actually, I want you to do it for yourself. Anything, Brandon says immediately. I'll do anything. I want you to spend 1 day each week for the next 6 months working at the Union Rescue Mission on Skid Row, Keanu says. Do you know where that is? Brandon nods. Skid Row is an area in downtown Los Angeles where thousands of homeless people live. It's only a few blocks from Cicada, but it's a different world. I want you to serve meals to homeless people, Keanu continues. I want you to talk to them, learn their stories, understand that every person has value, no matter what they look like or where they come from. Brandon nods vigorously. Yes, I will. I promise. Some of those people used to be teachers, Keanu says. Some were nurses. Some were veterans who served our country. Some had families and homes and jobs. Then life happened. Bad luck, illness, addiction, loss, and they ended up on the street. Keanu's voice becomes intense, passionate. I want you to learn that you're only a few bad moments away from being in their shoes. That's all. A few bad moments, and then you'd be the one being judged, being looked down on, being told you don't belong. Brandon is crying again, but he's listening. Really listening. And one more thing, Keanu adds. Every time you see someone walk into this restaurant, every single time, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that you never know someone's story. You never know what they've been through. You never know who they are inside. Keanu stands up. He offers Brandon his hand. Brandon takes it. Keanu pulls him to his feet. They stand facing each other. Thank you, Brandon says. His voice is barely a whisper. Thank you for not giving up on me. Keanu places his other hand on Brandon's shoulder. We all need second chances. Use yours wisely. Then Keanu turns to address the entire restaurant. All the diners watching. All the phones recording. I want to say something to everyone here, Keanu announces. His voice is clear and strong. What happened tonight shouldn't define Brandon forever. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do after we make them. I hope all of you will give Brandon the same second chance I'm giving him. For a moment, silence. Then one person starts clapping. Then another. Then another. The applause grows. It fills the restaurant, gets louder and louder. People stand up. A standing ovation. For Keanu. For his kindness. For his wisdom. for showing everyone what grace looks like. Marco walks over and hugs Keanu again. "You are a better man than I am," he whispers. "No," Keanu says. "You taught me everything I know about kindness, about building something beautiful, about giving people dignity. This restaurant is yours, Marco. It always has been. I just helped you get started." Marco pulls back. He looks at Keanu with love, real love, like family. "You are my brother," Marco says. "And you are mine," Keanu replies. The applause continues. The cameras keep recording. And this moment, this beautiful, redemptive moment, is being captured forever. But nobody knows yet how forever that forever will be. Within 1 hour, the first video appears on TikTok. A diner named Sarah Chen posted it. She recorded the whole thing on her phone. Every word, every moment. The caption reads, "Waiter insults Keanu Reeves. You won't believe what happens next." Within 2 hours, the video has 1 million views. Within 6 hours, 10 million views. By morning, 50 million views across TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The story explodes across the internet like wildfire. News outlets pick it up. CNN runs it. BBC runs it. Every major news organization in the world reports the story. Keanu Reeves shows grace after being insulted. The kindest man in Hollywood does it again. Waiter learns powerful lesson from Keanu Reeves. But then something unexpected happens. Something even Keanu didn't want. Journalists start digging deeper. And they start researching, asking questions, looking into public records. A reporter from the Los Angeles Times named Patricia Williams finds property records for downtown Los Angeles. She's looking for information about Cicada Restaurant, about who owns the building. What she discovers shocks her. Keanu Reeves doesn't just own Cicada's building. He owns 17 buildings in downtown Los Angeles. 17! Patricia digs deeper. She finds the names of businesses in those buildings. Small businesses, immigrant-owned restaurants, art galleries, bookstores, a community theater, a dance studio, a music school. She starts calling them, interviewing the owners. A woman named Linda Martinez owns a used bookstore called Second Chapter Books. She's 62 years old. She's owned the store for 15 years. "I pay $800 a month for rent," Linda tells Patricia. "The space is 1,500 square feet in downtown LA. Now that should cost $5,000 a month, minimum, maybe more." "Why is it so cheap?" Patricia asks. "I was told I have an anonymous benefactor," Linda says. "Someone who wants to keep independent bookstores alive. I never knew who. Now I know it was him." Patricia interviews a family named the Rodriguezes. They own a Mexican restaurant called Abuela's Kitchen. They almost lost everything during COVID-19 in 2020. "We couldn't pay rent for 18 months, Maria Rodriguez says. But our landlord, we never knew who owned the building, waived all our rent. 18 months, zero rent. We survived because of that." "When did you find out it was Keanu Reeves?" Patricia asks. "Today," Maria says, crying. "We just found out today." An art gallery owner named James Park tells his story. "I teach free art classes to underprivileged children, kids from rough neighborhoods, kids who can't afford art supplies. My rent is $1 per year. $1. And the lease says I must keep teaching children for free. That's the only requirement." Story after story. Building after building. Business after business. Keanu has been quietly helping people for decades. Not just at Cicada, everywhere. The Los Angeles Times publishes the story. It goes viral immediately. even bigger than the restaurant video. Keanu Reeves, Hollywood's secret philanthropist. People can't believe it. Other celebrities post about their charity work constantly, and they take pictures at charity events. They talk about their donations. They want everyone to know how generous they are. But Keanu? Keanu did it all in secret. For 30 years, never telling anyone, never asking for credit. Social media explodes with reactions. This is what real kindness looks like. Keanu Reeves is literally the best human being alive. We don't deserve this man. While other celebrities post Instagram photos at charity galas, Keanu just quietly changes lives. Other journalists investigate more. They find even more. A children's hospital in Los Angeles received anonymous donations totaling $20 million over 15 years. The money came from a private foundation. That foundation is owned by Keanu Reeves. It was created after his sister beat leukemia, a program that provides free motorcycles to disabled veterans. Funded by Keanu through Arch Motorcycle, a scholarship fund for children of immigrants who want to study performing arts. 30 full scholarships per year, all anonymous, all from Keanu. The list goes on and on, but Keanu doesn't want this attention. He never wanted it. 5 days after the restaurant incident, Keanu releases a statement through his lawyer. It's short, simple, just like Keanu. I don't do these things for recognition. I do them because I was helped when I needed it. I do them because I believe in people. And I believe in second chances. I believe everyone deserves dignity and opportunity. Please respect my privacy and the privacy of the people I've tried to help. That's it. Nothing more. But the story won't die. It keeps growing. Brandon Wells makes his own statement. He posts a video on Instagram. He's sitting in his small apartment. His eyes are still red from crying. "My name is Brandon Wells," he says to the camera. "I was the waiter who insulted Keanu Reeves. I'm the person in all those videos. I judged him. I was cruel. I was completely wrong." Brandon takes a deep breath. "Mr. Reeves gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. He taught me that kindness is stronger than pride. He taught me that every person has value. He taught me to never judge someone by their appearance." Brandon's voice shakes. "I'm sharing this because I want everyone to learn from my mistake. Don't judge people by how they look. I don't assume you know someone's worth based on their clothes or their car or their appearance. You have no idea who they are. You have no idea what they've been through." He pauses. "And if you make a mistake, own it. Learn from it. Become better. That's what I'm trying to do." The video gets 20 million views. Brandon keeps his promise. Every Wednesday, he goes to the Union Rescue Mission on Skid Row. He serves meals. He talks to people. He listens to their stories. And he meets a man named Robert, who used to be a college professor. Robert lost his job during the 2008 recession, lost his house, lost his family, ended up on the street. He meets a woman named Grace, who was a nurse for 30 years. Her husband died. She got depressed, started drinking, lost everything. He meets a veteran named Marcus, who served in Iraq. He came home with PTSD, couldn't hold a job, couldn't sleep. The VA failed him. The streets became his home. Story after story. Person after person. Each one a human being. Each one worthy of dignity. Brandon's heart changes, completely changes. After 6 months, Brandon goes to Keanu. They meet at a small coffee shop. No cameras, no phones, just two people talking. "I want to work at the Union Rescue Mission full-time," Brandon tells Keanu. "I want to help people. Really help them. Not just serve them food." I want to go back to school, study social work, make a difference. Keanu smiles. That's wonderful. Brandon. But I can't afford school, Brandon admits. I have no savings. Student loans would bury me. Keanu is quiet for a moment. Then he says, "What if someone paid for your education? Would you do it?" Brandon's eyes widen. You'd do that? On one condition, Keanu says. After you graduate, you work at the Union Rescue Mission for at least 5 years. Help people. Give back. Can you commit to that? Brandon starts crying. Again. But these are happy tears. Yes, I promise. Thank you. Thank you so much. Keanu shakes his hand. You're going to do great things, Brandon. I believe in you. Brandon enrolls at the University of Southern California. He studies social work. He graduates 4 years later with honors. Marco's health improves slowly. He returns to Cicada part-time. He's there every day for a few hours, training staff, sharing stories, teaching values. Every new employee at Cicada must watch the video of that night. The night Brandon insulted Keanu, and they watch it together. Then they discuss it. What does it mean? What can we learn? It becomes part of Cicada's culture, part of its DNA. The restaurant becomes more successful than ever. People come from all over the world, not just for the food, but for what Cicada represents. Second chances, dignity, respect, kindness. Marco institutes a new policy. One night each month, Cicada closes to regular customers. Instead, they open the doors to homeless people from Skid Row. 50 people each month. They're served the same luxury meals, the same respect, the same dignity as any paying customer. Keanu attends every single one of these dinners. He doesn't just pay for them, he serves food. He sits with guests, he talks to them, listens to their stories. A journalist asks him why. Why does he do this? Keanu thinks for a moment. Then he answers honestly, "When I was young, my mother and I struggled. We moved all the time. We had very little money, but people helped us. Strangers helped us. And they didn't have to. They just did it because it was right." He pauses. "I'm just paying forward what was given to me." The journalist asks another question. "But you give so much, millions of dollars. Doesn't it ever feel like too much?" Keanu shakes his head. "Wealth is strange. Having money beyond what you need doesn't make you happier. I have a house, I have food, I have my motorcycle. That's enough. But using money to help others, to give someone a chance, to see them succeed?" He smiles. "That brings real joy. That gives life meaning." The journalist asks one final question. "Do you regret that the truth came out? That everyone knows now about your philanthropy?" Keanu is quiet for a long moment. "I regret that privacy was lost. I never wanted attention, but..." He pauses. "But if this story inspires even one person to be kinder, to judge less, to help someone who needs it, then maybe it's worth it." The interview ends, but the impact continues. Around the world, and people start their own Keanu Reeves challenges. They help strangers. They pay for people's meals. They give second chances. They stop judging based on appearance. The ripple effect spreads. One act of grace, caught on camera, changes millions of lives. March 14th, 2024. Exactly 1 year after the incident, Cicada Restaurant is hosting a special anniversary dinner. Not for celebrities, not for wealthy people, for the staff, for the people who make Cicada what it is. The restaurant is closed to the public tonight. Only employees and special guests are invited. Brandon Wells arrives early. He's wearing a nice suit now, but it's simple, not expensive. He's learned that expensive clothes don't make the person. He's 27 years old now. He looks different, more confident, but also more humble. He's in his third year at USC studying social work. His grades are excellent. He volunteers at the Union Rescue Mission 20 hours every week. Even though his classes are difficult, he does it because he wants to, because he loves it. Brandon walks through Cicada's doors, the same doors where 1 year ago he made the biggest mistake of his life. Maria sees him first. She hugs him tight. "Brandon, you look wonderful." "Thank you, Maria. You too." Maria is still working at Cicada. She's the head server now. Marco promoted her. She trains all the new staff. She makes sure they understand what Cicada really means. Marco Santelli arrives next. He's 76 now, still using his cane, but he's stronger, healthier. His eyes are bright and alert. He's wearing his favorite suit, the one he wore opening night in 1994. "Brandon," Marco calls out. He walks over and embraces the young man. "How is school?" "Hard," Brandon admits with a smile. "But good, really good." "And the mission?" "Amazing. I'm helping create a new program, job training for homeless veterans. Mr. Reeves is funding it." Marco's eyes fill with pride. "You have become exactly who you were meant to be." Brandon's eyes get wet. "Because someone gave me a chance." More people arrive. James, the waiter who told the story about his son's wheelchair. Robert, the chef whose mother Keanu helped. Linda Martinez from the bookstore. The Rodriguez family from Abuela's kitchen. James Park from the art gallery. Dozens of people whose lives Keanu touched. Everyone gathers in the main dining room, and the chandeliers glow. The room looks magical. But one person is missing. The most important person. At 7:45 p.m., the door opens one more time. Keanu Reeves walks in. He's wearing the same black jacket, the same jeans, the same worn motorcycle boots, exactly what he wore 1 year ago. The entire room goes silent. Then, as one, everyone stands up. They applaud. Not because he's famous, not because he's rich, because he's good. Keanu smiles his gentle smile. He looks embarrassed, and he never likes being the center of attention. "Please, please, sit down," he says, gesturing. "This is your night, not mine." But nobody sits. The applause continues. Marco walks to the front of the room. He raises his hands. Finally, people quiet down and sit. "1 year ago tonight," Marco begins, "something happened in this restaurant, something that changed us all." People nod. They remember. "A young man made a mistake," Marco continues. "A big mistake. He judged someone based on appearance, based on clothes, based on assumptions." Marco looks at Brandon. "That young man is here tonight. Brandon, please stand up." Brandon stands, his face red. "Brandon made a mistake," Marco says, "but he owned it. He learned from it. He became better. And now, he's dedicating his life to helping others." Marco starts clapping. Everyone joins in. Brandon sits down quickly, overwhelmed. "But, more importantly," Marco continues, "someone showed us what grace looks like, what forgiveness looks like, what second chances look like." He turns to Keanu. "Keanu, you taught us all something important that night. You taught us that how we treat people in their worst moments defines who we are in our best moments." Keanu shakes his head slightly. He doesn't think he deserves this praise. "For 30 years, Marco says, you helped me. You helped this restaurant. You helped everyone in this room. You did it quietly, secretly, never asking for anything." Marco's voice breaks. "Oh, you are the best man I know." The room erupts in applause again. Marco holds up his hand. "Tonight, We celebrate not just 1 year since that incident. We celebrate 30 years of partnership, 30 years of friendship, 30 years of kindness. Waiters bring out food, beautiful Italian dishes, the same recipes Marco's grandmother used in Italy. Fresh pasta, rich sauces, warm bread, everything made with love. During dinner, people share stories. Stories about Keanu, stories about second chances, stories about how one moment of grace changed everything. Linda from the bookstore talks about how her affordable rent allowed her to stay open during the pandemic, how she gave away free books to children who couldn't go to school, how those children still come to her store today, now teenagers, still reading. The Rodriguez family talks about their restaurant, how it survived, how they now employ 20 people, 20 families with income, 20 families with hope. James Park talks about his art students, how one of them just got accepted to art school on a full scholarship, how that kid used to live in a homeless shelter, how art saved his life. Story after story, life after life, all connected back to one man's decision 30 years ago to help a crying stranger on the steps of an abandoned building. After dinner, Marco stands again. "Keanu," he says, "please, come here." Keanu walks to the front reluctantly, but Marco pulls out an envelope. "30 years ago, you invested $1.5 million in my dream. Over the years, I've paid you back every penny, plus interest. But you've never taken your ownership shares seriously. You've never asked for more money. You've never asked for anything." Keanu starts to speak, but Marco holds up his hand. "Tonight, I want to give you something," Marco says. He hands Keanu the envelope. "Open it." Keanu opens it carefully. Inside is a legal document. Then he reads it. His eyes widen. "Marco, I can't accept this." "You can and you will," Marco says firmly. Keanu looks at the document again. It's a deed. Marco is transferring his 40% ownership of the building to a charitable trust. A trust that will keep rents affordable for small businesses forever. A trust managed by Keanu. "The building should be used for good," Marco says. "Forever. Not just while we're alive. Forever." Tears run down Keanu's face. Real tears. He rarely cries in public. But tonight, he can't help it. He hugs Marco. The two men hold each other. Two friends, two brothers, united by a chance meeting 30 years ago. The room is silent except for the sound of people crying. Happy tears. Grateful tears. Later, as the evening winds down, Keanu walks over to Brandon. They step outside onto the sidewalk. The same sidewalk where Marco once sat crying. "How are you really doing?" Keanu asks. "I'm good," Brandon says. "Really good. School is hard, but I love it. So the mission is incredible. I found my purpose." "I'm proud of you," Keanu says simply. "I've been thinking about that night a lot," Brandon admits. "About how one mistake could have ended everything for me. But instead, it became the best thing that ever happened to me." "Mistakes are only endings if we let them be," Keanu says. "They can also be beginnings." Brandon nods. "I want to ask you something. Why did you give me a second chance? Most people wouldn't have. Most people would have wanted me fired, gone, punished." Keanu is quiet for a moment. He looks up at the building that started everything. "When I was young," Keanu finally says, "I was angry a lot. My father left. We moved constantly. School was hard. I felt like the world was against me." He pauses. "I made mistakes. I said things I shouldn't have. I hurt people." Brandon listens carefully. But someone gave me a chance. Keanu continues. A drama teacher in Toronto. I was failing his class. I was disrespectful. I didn't try. He could have kicked me out. Instead, he sat me down. He talked to me. He saw something in me I didn't see in myself. What happened? Brandon asks. He gave me the lead role in the school play, Keanu says. Everyone thought he was crazy, but he believed in me, and that belief changed my life. I discovered acting. I discovered purpose. I discovered who I could be. Keanu looks at Brandon directly. I gave you a second chance because someone gave me one. That's how it works. We pass it forward. Brandon wipes his eyes. I'll never forget that. Never. Good, Keanu says. And when you're a social worker, when someone comes to you who's made mistakes, who everyone else has given up on, you give them a chance too. Keep the chain going. I will, Brandon promises. I absolutely will. They shake hands. Then Brandon does something unexpected. He hugs Keanu. Keanu hugs him back. To two people who started as enemies, now friends, all because one chose grace over anger, forgiveness over revenge, hope over judgment. As the evening ends, Keanu gets on his motorcycle, the same motorcycle he rode 1 year ago. He puts on his helmet. Before he starts the engine, he looks back at Cicada Restaurant one more time. The lights glow warmly inside. He can see people laughing, talking, connecting. This is what he invested in 30 years ago. Not just a building, not just a restaurant, but a place where human dignity lives, where second chances are real, where people matter more than appearances. He thinks about Marco, about Brandon, about Maria and James and Robert, about all the people whose lives are better because one person chose kindness. He thinks about his own life, the pain, the loss, the grief, but also the joy of helping others, the meaning that comes from lifting people up. True wealth isn't measured in dollars, he realizes. It's measured in lives touched, in second chances given, in kindness freely offered, in grace extended when judgment would be easier. Keanu starts his motorcycle. The engine rumbles to life. He rides off into the Los Angeles night. Just a man on a motorcycle. A simple man. A humble man. A kind man. Behind him, Cicada Restaurant glows like a beacon. A reminder that one act of grace can change everything. That one second chance can save a life. That one person choosing kindness can inspire millions. That waiter learned it. That restaurant embodies it. And Keanu Reeves lives it every single day. The cameras are off now. The phones are put away. The viral moment is over. But the lesson remains. Forever. So where are you watching this from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. I'd love to know how far this message of kindness has spread. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. And subscribe to this channel so we can spread more stories of kindness and second chances to people who need to hear them. Remember, never judge someone by how they look. Everyone has a story. Everyone deserves respect. Now click on the video appearing on your screen right now. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.